Imagine stepping into a quiet British living room during World War II, the radio crackling softly as the voice of C.S. Lewis begins to unravel the most essential question. What's this thing called Christianity really about? Right here, Lewis invites us to pause, not with judgment or jargon, but through honest, relatable conversations. But what if beneath our differences there's a solid shared ground Christians can all stand on? Stick with me, that's just the start. Lewis kicks off with a puzzle everyone knows but rarely admits. We all seem to know what's right and wrong. Yet, where does this invisible rulebook come from? Let's dig into this sneaky, universal force pushing us like gravity. Lewis points to how people worldwide, in London pubs or far-off villages, argue over what's fair and unfair, whether it's cheating at cards or telling the truth. This isn't random, it's a universal agreement that something called right and wrong exists. Even enemies grudgingly admit when they're treated unfairly, revealing this shared standard. He compares the moral law to an umpire in a cricket match. You don't play the game without one, even if you sometimes contest the calls. This law signals there's an authority outside ourselves keeping score, distinct from instincts or social conventions, not just a human invention but a persistent, guiding presence. That presence Lewis calls God, the higher referee who implanted this sense of right and wrong in our hearts. This suggests morality isn't subjective fluff but points to a real, personal lawgiver. It's a subtle but powerful insight. Our conscience is an echo of something greater, inviting us to something beyond ourselves. So if a moral law implies a lawgiver, what does Christianity say about this God? Lewis doesn't just list creeds, he paints Christianity as a life-changing journey. But what's the core you can't dodge? Lewis explains Christianity isn't a what-to-think set of facts, but a who-to-follow commitment. Like joining a team you weren't born into but choose, it's an allegiance that shapes your identity and choices, not just a belief system you can turn on or off. He wrestles with Jesus' famous claims, not just a good teacher but God in human flesh. Either he's a liar, crazy, or exactly who he said he was. Lewis dubs this the trilemma. It's a sharp fork in the road, demanding a clear standpoint rather than easy neutrality. The payoff, those who accept Jesus aren't just better people, they enter a transformative relationship. Lewis describes this as becoming a new person inside, not by sheer willpower but through divine help, showing that Christianity offers not just rules but real change in how you think, love, and act. Finally, Lewis opens the door to what being Christian looks like day to day. Far from a rulebook or guilt trip, it's about a higher power shaping your soul, and yes, that changes everything. Lewis likens the Christian life to a friendship with God, not a distant deity watching from afar. Imagine a joyful living connection that strengthens over time, real conversations, real help when life gets messy, and a presence that redefines hope. He uses gardening as a metaphor for virtue. Just like plants need sunshine, water, and pruning, Christians need God's grace, prayer, and community to cultivate virtues like kindness, patience, and courage. Without care, those virtues wither. With care, they flourish wildly. Lewis doesn't shy away from struggle. In fact, he says that wrestling with doubts and hardships is part of growing. Pain and questions dig deep roots that make faith resilient, not fragile. This flips the usual idea that faith means never questioning. Instead, struggle proves faith is alive and worth it. Remember that quiet living room where Lewis spoke as war rumbled outside? You just journeyed through his invitation to something bigger, a law that whispers of God, a Jesus who demands a decision, a faith that's a transforming friendship. Now here's a simple try this. Tonight, listen for that inner moral voice in a tough choice. See if it feels like your own or something calling you beyond. That's your starting line. Subscribe for more book summaries like this one.